All right, so welcome everybody to our session. Basically, what we'll be talking about is the tech talent landscape for those that are actually planning their career, but also those that are actually immersed in the field right now. Obviously, with technology today, we're all impacted professionally, but also personally as well, and therefore there's a lot of potential out there for really great careers and very rewarding career as well. But obviously it has its challenges because of all the changes, actually rapid changes of what we're going through around AI, cybersecurity, and our segment, and many segments in our industry. So our esteemed panel will cover things like talent, growth, attraction, development, within our workplace, and I will also put a little focus on diversity and how this is important as well for the workplace. And so I will ask everybody to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello. So I'm Gabrielle Botbol. I'm an offensive security advisor at Desjardins, but I'm also an offensive security consultant on the side. And I've been in the industry, in cybersecurity industry, for around 5 years.
Hi, I'm Sabe Mpofu, founder and CEO of Millenilink. We are a technology recruitment and tech talent advisory company, and we really focus on digital transformation skill sets for organizations that require level of specialization that go beyond just technical skills. And I've been in the industry since 2008.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Val Iannitti. I'm the Vice President of Development and Partnerships with Actua. Actua is a national charitable organization whose mission it is to prepare youth for the future of work through hands-on STEM experiences. So we reach hundreds of thousands of kids every year across the country with a real focus on diversity, so reaching the hardest to reach youth. We have large national programs that engage Indigenous youth in STEM, girls and young women, and young people who are living in under-resourced or underserved communities. I'll pause there.
Good, thank you. And I'll introduce myself as well. So I'm Sylvie Ouellette. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Versatil. Our company specializes in analytics, AI, and security solution. And we're two women that own the company. We said we'll have an eye a bit on diversity, so we're actually a company that is certified Indigenous. We're also a women-owned company, and we're also a LGBT certified company as well. So the diversity in our company is extremely important for us and in our field. So we'll start with the first question. So what type of trends that you guys are you seeing in with the increase of AI, and how it's impacting the traditional tech role in the industry? I guess we'll start with you.
Okay, so for me as a pen tester, we do see more and more tools. So we have to stay proactive and to have a step ahead for the cyber attacks. And so really in my line of work, more tools are created, and so we aim with these tools to cover more vulnerabilities. And so in a way we have to, because AI will helps personalize learning to specific learning profiles, because currently the learning we see out there is not really adapt to different learner profiles. But with AI, it's getting more and more specific, and depending on your learning profile, you will be able to have like a better experience for this. And also, I have to say there's also cons in these technologies, because it's coming with vulnerabilities, and so it is used in industries with sensitive data. So we also, as pen testers, need to make it more secure.
Yeah, I'd say, we see a lot of, naturally, like AI is, I think, most popular use case is, operational efficiency in different organizations. And so a lot of jobs that involve heavy administrative work, data entry, that sort of thing, are now being supplemented and, the efficiency expectations and the output expectations for people in those types of jobs are higher than they used to be. And then there's, with that comes the increased focus on more human skill sets, whether it's critical thinking, problem solving, and context, really. And so, with AI, it's really elevating the soft skills element as well as domain expertise required for certain jobs. And historically, when we might have looked to the market for deep technical skill sets, now employers are really looking for that same technical experience but with domain expertise. And so being able to apply that in a certain regulatory environment or in a certain commercial aspects in different geographies and different languages. And so those that level of experience in applicable expertise is really where AI is taking the skill set demands of employers.
From the perspective of a youth serving organization, I think amongst youth, what we're seeing right now is a heightened awareness of the impact that AI has in the usage of their, online technologies. Whereas, even a couple of years ago, and Alex was talking about this in the morning session, most kids and most adults probably didn't really realize that AI was actually impacting everything that we do online, from Google searches to predictive text, right? That's all AI. But right now, with things like the advent of ChatGPT, or when deepfake technology comes and messes with Taylor Swift's image online, kids are going to talk about it, right? And so we, as an organization who wants kids to be excited about technology, we leverage those opportunities for learning. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing over the last, Actua has been around for 30 years, but I would say over the last 10 years, we did a deep dive in digital, in a large national digital tech program, digital skill building program. We work with corporations, many of whom are members of TECHNATION. So Google is a big supporter of our work, as is Microsoft and Accenture and AWS and Coveo and so many other tech companies. The premise of our digital skill building program was to help kids move from being users of technology to becoming producers of technology, right? That's kind of how we started the digital skill building program that we launched about 10 years ago. As technology evolved, so did our program. So almost prophetically, just before the pandemic, we launched an AI program along with a cyber safety program that we call our Cyber Smart program. And the premise of these programs is really to approach digital skill learning from a place of positivity and like an asset-based approach, so that we don't want to scare kids, we don't want to scare parents about the usage of technology. Everyone is going to have a device in their hand. So how do we empower youth to build those skills and the confidence to use that technology in safe and proactive ways? So our programs focus on building digital citizenship amongst youth, building those basic kind of critical digital skills, but then there's always a focus on the critical thinking, the analytical thinking, the curiosity. And everything we're seeing about trends in the workforce is not that humans are going to be replaced by AI. Humans are going to be replaced by humans who are masterful users of AI. And in order to do that, people need to walk into the workforce with a curiosity and not fear of using technology and trying something new. So when a new Chat GPT comes up, employees can take the opportunity to explore and figure out how to leverage that for good. And so that's what we do with youth and teachers and parents, is help them understand how to leverage that technology to help learning be better. Teachers can use it to, mark papers. We can make, AI can help to make education much more personalized. So that's kind of what we're thinking about, the trends that we're seeing.
Very good. I can add to this. So I've been in the industry for about 30 years. If you go back from the traditional type of tech people that we had in organization, there was a lot of programming. You would think the students, that's what they needed. That's what they needed, is what programming tools do you know, and things like that. But if you see with AI today, well, now the AI can actually convert code. They can do all of that. So all these typical traditional type of tech roles, it's those ones have to be reskilled and do something else. There's more creative work around AI, definitely. The other trend that I see as well, so if you look at with the AI, you have the AI and you have cybersecurity, but today you can see that they have to merge now. We have in our company, we do we had our cybersecurity solution team, and we had AI, but now they have to work together because it's more infused with all the cybersecurity. So there's a lot of work that's becoming more interested in removing some of the repetitive tasks. But you have to be a bit like what you were saying. You have to be more creative. That's what we're looking for. People that are creative, that can challenge, have more critical thinking and things like that. So I think it's a positive trend. It'll remove a lot of routine as well, things that people used to do, to have more sort of like more fun job, I would say. The other question, so what role do you think that academia can play in developing sort of these diverse talent, especially making sure that there is more women in our field, and also covering, visible minorities? And how do co-op program, and how can industry partners together with academia, so that we can have more talent out there and skill set that we require in today's world?
So I think academia must focus on getting all students interested in STEM, and be committed to support them all the way, because it's really like important today. And also academia needs to focus on key skills, like as we said before, critical thinking and innovation and creativity, to enable students to be informed citizens, because they are going to be the one who shape the future of technology. So it's rather than just using the technologies, they have to shape it in a way that looks like everyone. And also, they also should make more open programs aligned to the industry, and they need to allow students to find a specific position and to find their place in this industry.
Yeah, I think first of all, on the attracting diverse populations group, I think, as a participant of a diverse population, being a Black man and visible minority, I appreciate when organizations are prescriptive in their language around diversity, because it's a very multi-layered cake in terms of, the different subcategories of diversity that exist. And they exist at different levels in different, parts of the country and the world. Beyond that, though, I think we sometimes, when we use the term diversity, there's maybe a default to race or gender. And I think some of the big other categories that require a lot of attention are the aging population, in our workforce, and immigration, especially those that don't have English as a first language. And so, when we think of the role of academia, I think first of all, it's a complex problem. But I think there's a creativity that needs to be explored through industry partnerships around both acceptance into different programming as well as what that actually looks like. Like, for example, regardless of whether you're in computer science or medical school, I think there should be a data component, right, to learning your new profession or law school or whatever that is, right? And maybe teaching those in more STEM-enabled fashion. But then, people learn differently, and people, absorb information, differently. And I can tell you, like myself as an employer, like I don't always, put a lot of value on how you do on tests, but it's more so, how you perform in groups and you can problem solve and communicate and that sort of thing. And so, when I think of academia, it's also how are we developing that talent to be, ready for that next chapter once they leave. And we can't put that all on academia either, right? It's a responsibility of us as industry and government and conversations like this. But I think, a lot of that is there. And, obviously I think, awareness is, important in these conversations, but then what we do after we generate that, and how do we engage, on a more consistent basis to push the needle and, maybe not be scared to screw up all the time, but, also just make sure that we are making progress and not necessarily getting a check mark.
I love everything you just said. I love that you brought up the importance of thinking of diversity as more than just gender diversity and ethnic diversity. It's such a critical part of the work that we do as a youth serving organization, thinking about other types of diversity, like neurodiversity. We work really, really hard on ensuring that kids have the opportunity to see themselves represented in the workforce, right? As the old adage goes, you need to see it to be it. And it's still hard for young girls to see, there are a lot of amazing women in the tech workforce, but they are still in the minority, right? Gender diversity, we want to ensure that, the LGBTQ population, that trans kids have an opportunity to see themselves represented in the workforce. It's critical. I'm the mom of a kid with neurodiversity and a learning disability. And, it's easy to kind of segregate those kids in the mainstream school system. With programs like the ones that Actua delivers, we really embrace diversity and create a super inclusive learning environment so that all kids, no matter their background, have an equal and equitable opportunity to explore STEM in a safe space. So the role of academia and the role of industry. So Actua is a network of 40 member organizations located at post-secondary institutions. The way we deliver our programs is that we hire about 1,000 undergrad students to deliver the programs to the younger K-12 kids. So they're the instructors, they're teaching them the STEM skills, but more importantly, that group of 1,000 undergrad students are super diverse. They come from Indigenous communities, and they're gender diverse and they're neurodiverse. And so those kids already have built-in mentors in our programs. That's super important. We leverage our corporate partnerships so that kids can kind of set foot into really cool companies and see what STEM looks like. So a couple months ago, we have an incredible partnership with Toyota, and we brought a group of middle school girls to the Toyota Motor Manufacturing Company, so the car manufacturing facility in Cambridge, Ontario. So the kids got the chance to do a tour of this facility. So imagine like AI coming to life. So this was an opportunity to see these huge robots, move these cars around. But not only that, they saw, like I was shocked because I'd never seen this, the interaction between machine and humans. It's almost like a magical dance, right? Like they, the robots can only do, very fine, like they can't do the fine motor skills. So you'd have the robots doing kind of the bigger stuff, and then the humans doing like the final paint jobs. It's incredible, right? Then we had these Toyota engineers talk to the kids. So the head of the facility is a woman, okay? So she comes out to talk to the kids, and she kind of starts telling about her journey, which is incredible. She started as like a paint process engineer, and now she's the general manager of the robotic facility. And she stands up in front of the kids, and she says to them, "When I became the boss of this facility, everybody was like, oh, you have to be tough. You gotta lead like a man." And she flashes her beautifully manicured, super long nails. And she's like, "I am unapologetically a woman, and I lead like a woman, and I am not scared to do that." And, and that is bold in an industry that's still super male dominated. So imagine the impact that had on those young girls to see that. That's the importance of academia and the importance of corporations in really helping kids be excited about taking on these jobs and seeing that they belong in STEM.
Yeah, very good point. I like the point where, academia, how they can help, making sure as well that, their leadership in their schools, in their university actually is diverse, so that the students, being in the minorities, can see that they have role models, they can get mentorship. I think that's very important that they reflect that also in the academia. And then from a partnership standpoint, I think, because we are, we do need talent, and we do want to have a diverse workforce because it makes sense and it is good for our companies. Partnering with the university, making sure that they have the co-op program. I did a co-op program, but that was almost 30 years ago. And it was because I was in finance, there was that. But today, you can see how much more there is co-op. But they need to have, maybe some support as well to make sure that minorities can have very good co-op program. I always go to the university and trying to say, what's your program? What do you have? How can I get some students from diverse group? Because that makes more sense to have a variety of perspective, and you become more global by having a diverse workforce and different points of view, right? So I think, academia needs to continue, and we need to support it as well by giving them opportunities to these students as well to come into our world. The other thing as well is I think they need to go even lower. We need to get these students that are just in high school. We need to go lower than just like universities. Right. I think, in order to get these, the minorities, the girls and all of that, talking to them about our industry where, we needs to do it, when they're even younger, I would say.
Yeah, like, when I was in high school, I bagged groceries and delivered pizza. However, now, especially with AI and, the internet, there's so many after school jobs and just different areas that, kids in high school can really add value and work under the leadership of people in industry. And, I think when you're able to pair whatever you're learning with an application, especially with so much changing right now, for example, like environmental sciences and all this clean technology, like it's really important because, we do have a gap, but we also have, a lot of people looking for work, right? And, that could be younger people, that could be mid-career professionals, like Palette Skills, who's an excellent nonprofit, here in Canada, got awarded a grant basically by Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada to assess, the macroeconomic landscape of, the labor market here in Canada, and they partnered with Deloitte to do that. And when they assessed job vacancy versus unemployment in all sectors of Canada, every single sector of the economy, including like, construction and other areas, had below 6% unemployment, which, at that point, like you're getting pretty close to either like extremely high demand, like if you have high job vacancy and low unemployment, then, almost good luck to you. But like, we do need to like reach into new populations and, different areas to close that gap, because unemployment, we've seen with interest rates go as high as they have, unemployment really hasn't like kind of shot up in the same kind of correlating way. And so, we do need to kind of get creative in terms of where we are searching for it. And so, I think, just younger people and different mid-career professionals that are looking for work but require more training and, nurturing in terms of skill development to be productive in the areas that we need them is really what's required. So I think we, as a recruiter, I can tell you, we get exceedingly high demand for senior professionals that can do the job on day one. That's what everybody wants. And so, at the same time that we're doing that, we do need to say, how are we nurturing and building the pipeline for, junior people or people that have transferable skills from other areas.
What is great as well is that today all the kids, they're all better than us with all the technology. So it's in every field, right? So very good. Another question. So what role do you think should the cultural competency anti-racism training have in preparing the industry to effectively support and mentor a diverse workforce such as women and BIPOC in the tech-related field?
I think it's essential. I think it is what is going to help to retain diverse individuals or underrepresented populations. And I think with this, people in leadership positions can actually learn to understand and appreciate diverse perspectives and diverse experiences. And that's key to making the industry more open. And seeing that a company is invested in such topics, I think it gives diverse talent a feeling of security and trust, and they feel valued and they feel respected. And when we feel secure and welcome, we are more creative and we are more productive. And also, I think it's essential to understand the importance of allyship, because it is an economic imperative for a company, for a company's success, because history shows that diverse perspective help us do where we are today. So collaboration and embracing various point of view, and it's essential to bring change and to bring progress in companies, but also in society.
Very good.
Yeah, I think it would really just be making sure that training programs become like a cultural norm. So when we deliver training and we've heard the perspectives of racism's impact, what it looks like, just making sure that those standards that are taught are upheld, and there's progress being made. Racism isn't necessarily something that's always in your face or even conscious all the time. Mm-hmm. And so you really want to just make sure that you're reinforcing the cultural norms of what you've learned over time to make it effective. And I would imagine that, and we see, we do see, like, a lot of companies that do it well retain employees, and not only do you retain them to be, good in their job, but then they become advocates and ambassadors of your brand. And employer branding is one of the leading indicators of your ability to attract and retain talent. And so, doing it well really, it helps you in multiple ways. But it does need to be a part of your culture beyond the training itself.
Good.
Yeah, I think we think about this as a youth serving organization from the perspective of the work that we're doing today and the investments that we're making upstream in diversifying that stream, so that by the time that the workers come to the workforce, there is a large, skilled and diverse pool of talent from which to choose, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the diversity side, and that's critical, right? Sylvie, I mean, thank you for plugging the work that we do, saying that we have to invest earlier. We really do. Mm-hmm. The reality is that rates of attrition at each stage in the educational journey for women and BIPOC folks increase from one step to the other, right? It's not getting any better. So I did a quick look at Stats Can. So from 2006 to 2021, the percentage of women who have enrolled in math or computer or information science degrees decreased from 37% in 2006 to 26% in 2021. So that's a problem, right? Despite all of the work that we're doing and all the panels and the discussions that we're talking about and advocating for the importance of an inclusive education, we're still not there. And then another example, we know that Indigenous students are graduating at about 14% less than the national average. The problem is not the girls. The problem is not the youth. The problem is not that they don't have the skills or the attributes to succeed. The problem is the system. The educational system, despite our best efforts, still is not equitable. So we need to ensure that we are creating inclusive spaces. So an example of how we're doing this, right? So we have this Indigenous Youth in STEM program. Actua's been delivering this for over 20 years, led by an incredible team of Indigenous educators in partnership with 200 Indigenous communities. This program starts from a place of traditional knowledge. It's delivered by knowledge keepers and elders. So the kids get a fully immersive opportunity on the land to learn about things that they really care about, that their communities really care about, part of their culture. So an example in the Inuit, in some of the Inuit communities that we deliver in, they might focus on wayfinding by the stars, right? Then we draw the links to the Western STEM concept of astronomy. Cool. The kids get the chance to see that their perspectives and their culture are really relevant in this modern economy, that there is a place for them, that they belong. And then that needs to just translate up the chain through the education system and into the workforce. So our programs are kind of like a safety net, right? There's a stream of individuals, the system pushes them out. We gently kind of pull them back in and we say, hey, don't leave yet. There's a place for you. You belong. And so we want to make sure that we keep kids in that stream, so by the time they do graduate, there are really incredibly diverse and skilled humans for you folks to hire.
No, very good. I think it is extremely important that we raise the awareness. So when we do training of anti-racism or we talk about diversity, and I mean, we've been, like you just said, I've been 30 years, I was at General Motors at the time, and we were talking about diversity because I was a woman responsible in IT for the plant, making Camaro Firebirds. You can imagine the field that was there when we were talking about diversity. But what I find today is there's a lot of unconscious bias that are still there that we have to. So when you're in a company or in an organization that you bring this up, that you are mentors, it removes a little bit of that. It makes sure that everybody's comfortable to express their own views and stuff. And I find as well, it's important to be who we are and to say that we support these things. Just having our company certified in some things is attracting actually students that, they're certified. They're coming to us and saying, I want to work for an organization that has these diversity focus and stuff like that. I think it's important for the students, for the future generation. So I think we still need to continue talking about diversity, making sure that we teach and we continue in that path. Okay, another question. What recommendation would you offer as a solution to developing a sustainable workforce with the accelerated rate of change in AI, cybersecurity, and the tech industry as a whole?
Well, I think companies should offer trainings for these new technologies through workshops, certifications, hands-on learning. And also, if you invest in this technology, it's not going to be efficient if you don't have people who are trained to use them. So it's really, really important that technology provides to people the opportunity to get trained to these new technologies.
Yeah, very much along the same lines. I think training is critical, and I did quite a few interviews with various stakeholders in the IT labor market not post, but in the 2020 and 2021 timeframe, and a lot of senior leadership would just say, I don't have time for training. I don't have time. I have deliverables. I have all that sort of stuff. More with less and all that, and it's really not going to be sustainable to operate that way. As more industries, especially non-tech, like we are here at a tech conference today having this conversation, but when it comes to AI and cybersecurity, that's going to be everywhere, right? And so the competition for that talent is going to be everywhere. Like when we saw a lot of the layoffs happen in 2023 from a lot of the tech companies, a lot of professionals landed on their feet in non-technical industries. So they went from the Shopifys and the Metas to RBCs and different organizations like that. And so it's really important to recognize that we do need to invest in training proactively, and also get creative with how we're evaluating talent. Like you may have a benchmark of what you're looking for in terms of technical skills, business aptitude, communication. But as you get creative and maybe explore different starting points for talent to join your organization, you'll naturally just open up different creative solutions in your product design, possibly different commercial opportunities, especially outside of Canada. And so it is really important that training happens early and often, because like I said, from a tech standpoint, the competition is extremely high, and unemployment there's really not enough to meet all the demand that is out there.
Well, you stole my words, but it just goes to show that that's critically important. Investments in diverse talent need to happen when kids are still in school. It needs to happen early, and it needs to happen often. When all kids have that wondrous curiosity in their eyes, when everybody is a scientist and everybody is an inventor. My kitchen counter is constantly covered in science experiments. We want to keep that curiosity and that passion for technology and invention alive. That's why you should all invest in Actua. And that's really, really important. I think another recommendation is about continuing to support the education system to be equitable and inclusive. It's critical for kids' confidence. It is critical for their success. Social and cultural and gender biases still do exist. And we need to actively and relentlessly counteract those biases through teacher training, through bringing the school boards on board, helping the schools meet their responsibilities under the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action around education. It's critically important. We need to ensure that schools are culturally and gender inclusive. I will reiterate the importance of mentorship and the importance that kids need to see themselves represented in the workforce. I think the other piece around diversity is that let's remember that as AI becomes more and more influential and more powerful, we need to ensure that it's being trained on unbiased data. I'm not a technical person, but I know a lot of you in the room think about this. That is critically important, but also that it's being developed by people who are reflective of the diversity of Canada's population, but the diversity of the world, right? And language diversity. Also, cyber threats, right? They're coming from more and more diverse sources. In order to counteract those cyber threats, we need a diverse cybersecurity workforce. It's critical. So I think, I think about it from the perspective that we need to see diversity in the workforce not as a box to be checked, but really as a strength.
Absolutely. I think adding to what you guys are saying is just that right now it's lifelong training now, right? Like it's not like you go to school, you go get a job, and then you retire. This is something now we're in a world that goes so quick that we need to learn over and over. We need to reskill. AI will accelerate all of that, where people, will be in their job. We need to upskill, reskill, there'll be different things. So I think, and it's ongoing. The other thing as well is that we have today is also, we have so much flexible ways to offer training or to do training. We have it online, we have it in person, and we have to be adaptable to the workforce, because not everybody is at the start of their career. Some people are towards the end, but we need the whole workforce to be working, right? So I think it's offering that as well to the workforce so that, they are inclined to continue. You want to add something?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that exact thing. I think you're, completely correct. Like when we talk about training, it might sound like we're talking about early career professionals, but this is all of us, here in the room, making sure that we, are kind of figuring out how our domains are being affected. I know. In the earlier panel, Alex mentioned, employers having an obligation to, when they are laying off, thinking about how they can assist them in terms of training and getting rehired. And that's going to be a big, thing. The World Economic Forum is anticipating that as soon as next year, 85 million jobs are going to be displaced by AI. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, 97 million new jobs will be required. And so those, that laid off population, very well needs to be positioned, for those jobs. And this is going to be people at all levels of organizations. And I can't remember who said it earlier, but it's very accurate. Like whatever we do today, we need to be able to do in an AI augmented way tomorrow. Because it's happening rapidly and the train has left the station. And so that training is important for all of us.
Yeah, we need to create inspiration right away, and for the kids to say, hey, you're going to learn all your life. This is not something that is going to go away. This is the path that we're on. It's exciting. It changes. Get them. We need to get them adapted as well to the changes. Because it's going to change for the rest of our lives now. This is the path that we're going into.
And being comfortable with discomfort.
Exactly.
Right? Like that, helping kids learn to fail.
Yeah.
And realizing that failure is an opportunity for success It's so important, right? Like, how many times have each of us failed in this room? You have to learn how to bounce back. And so that's what STEM does, right? That's the scientific process, right? You only get to a discovery after you fail a million times. And that's going to help to build that resilience and to just be ready to try new things and not be scared.
No, exactly. And it's it's funny how we always say we're scared of something we don't know, right? Like we're scared of the future, things that we don't know. It's not really that we're scared of what we don't know, is we're scared always to lose what we know, right? Is we're scared to lose what we are comfortable with. And so if we can teach that and say, no, the future is full of opportunities and full of things to look forward to, then they can feel better with change, which today is way more important than when I started, many years ago, right? So I think now maybe we can have maybe just final comments from each of you and share your thoughts.
Yeah, just to went back on what you said before, this is also why we have to bring everyone to the equation, because I mean, what I say in terms of cybersecurity is usually I want my grandmother to feel safe online, and today it's not possible because cybersecurity looks mysterious and scary and everything. So I think it's important to make cybersecurity and AI and everything a pop culture, something that we are proud of and something that we want to learn about and not be scared of.
Very good.
I would, definitely just encourage the attitude of failure is good. Failure is healthy and it's part of learning. That's really what we're going into. Like, when we think of AI, right? Like, I don't think any of us can confidently say where we see it going in, say, 5 years, but maybe in the next 12 to 18 months, we have an idea. And so, we've really just got to, step forward into it, because if we don't, then the gap and the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is going to widen. And so by just, stepping into it and, encouraging experimentation and iteration is really the path forward. And then also just, like we are today, having many different people in the room from different areas of the industry is important for the conversation and the next steps in terms of how we solve this problem.
Yeah, I just actually want to build off the last thing you said. It's like no one sector of society can do this alone. We need really strong collaborations. We need government to step up to the table and realize that investment in skill development, in youth skill development, and reskilling is critical. We need government at the table. We need the corporations to continue to realize that, they're driving a lot of this, but they can't do it alone, right? They also need to invest, of course, in reskilling, but thinking about, the investments early and often, thinking about how they leverage their existing talent to inspire the next generation, super important. And remembering that there is a role for the, not-for-profit world here. We are doing a lot of the work that government can't do. And we need to continue to do that. We have the connections to communities and we have trusted relationships with communities. And that's not always true for other sectors within society. And so I think remembering that we all have to work together, and of course the universities, right? They're in a difficult moment right now, struggling, but how do we also support universities to continue to be safe places of higher learning, where everybody feels like they have a place, where it's accessible to people, right? Like it can't be this, unattainable goal. People need pathways into universities and colleges in order to succeed. And so we have to remember how do we continue to leverage the strength of our relationships in society.
Very good. So I think the message of all of this is that we all need to work together as we move forward in this age of artificial intelligence. It depends on all individuals, all organization, be it in the tech industry, having the academia, having the government. And that's why TECHNATION, I like what the work they're doing, because TECHNATION is trying to get all of this messaging together, and we know that we cannot do it without each other, and we have to continue that message and continue to keep forward. And I think that's about it for today. Oh yes, sorry, I have my 10 minutes there. Well, yeah, so maybe if you have any questions, I think online or in the back, anybody that wants to ask question. Forgot the Q&A.
Hi, thank you for the amazing panel. I really like the quote of, you gotta see it to be it. But I have two questions, one for, well, the youth in terms of, the first one is, the recruitment process can be a very, the word I like to use is objectifying process, where you're kind of like, you feel like you're giving it your all, you're trying to connect with people and kind of like communicate your value effectively so that you can be a part of the greater mission or get that job that you feel so passionately about. And it's like, how would you recommend, like what strategies do you recommend use to get involved with passions that they align with, like being as you guys are recruiting, and like what do you look for, and how can you like not try, like somebody could be coming across phony, but they could really be passionate because it's very rehearsed or different stuff. Like what do you recommend for genuine connections and stuff like that?
Is that for me?
Oh, just
Or for
to anybody.
Did you want to talk about recruitment? Let's start with.
Yeah, I think that's on us to create that safe space, right? And I think it's really about sharing it in multiple forms. So, whether we, different demands that we have as industry and wanting, kids to say, follow their passion, say, in like let's think of like music or something, like we need to be able to show and amplify what happens to get to the finished product, right? Like a lot of the times when we see people in jobs or different professions, what we see is the end result. And we don't actually understand maybe the unique combination of skills that allowed them to get them there, as well as also the journey, because it can be different for many people, but then all of a sudden they end up in very similar fields. And so I think that's on us, but I think it really just starts with creating a safe space. And I always like to say, like, I will ask the stupid questions. And I think we need to encourage youth to do that, because that's really the starting point. If we, if people feel bad for asking questions, then what you do is diminish their curiosity. And so we have to make that something that's encouraged. Understand maybe, what you're doing and how you respond to certain people, and then encourage more of that. And I've worked with different colleagues where in the beginning you would have never known that they were going to become as great as they were. And so I think it's really just about encouragement, partnership, but the only thing I can think of is really like kids, when they have that innocence and curiosity, we need to encourage it and not diminish it.
Yeah, just maybe I can add. I think I like what you said as well. You know, we will ask the stupid questions and stuff, but it's also to not be afraid to approach people, go to events like this, go meet the people that have been in. Not be shy and to, because really we're looking for that. We're looking for people that have passion, that are interested in trends and where we're heading and things like that, and that are okay to just come up and ask questions and see, so I think that's very important. We need to encourage that.
I just want to give one super quick example, just to build off what Sabe said. Kids love to teach you stuff. So if you start from that premise of like, what can you teach me? So in a lot of our Indigenous communities, when we start the program, we start from a place of community mapping. So the kids get the chance to teach the adults, this is where I go to school, and this is where we do our grocery shopping, and this is the rec center where I play basketball. And they tell you about their community. And from there we build out. And if you start from that place of that asset-based place, then you learn. Then that's how you'll learn what their passions are, where their interests are. They might talk heavily about the library. Oh, cool, you love books. What books do you love? Or whatever it might be. So I think that's a practical kind of approach to tapping into an individual's passion.
And then the second one was just based off of, there was the conversation about how do we bridge that gap in STEM, whether it be for minorities, women, or different, like we're seeing different attrition rates. And it's one thing to carve out the space, but how do you what is your process for finding out what's stopping them from coming? Like whether it's financial barriers, whether it's taking on more responsibility at home, like how do you guys assess that to kind of and try to address that or type of thing?
You got to have the tough conversation, or maybe the uncomfortable conversation, but make it okay to say, you can what is the barrier? Maybe express where you're coming from. So maybe before asking people to open up to you, maybe just doing the same, and finding out where gaps can be met. I think one of the benefits that we have with the whole remote work trend is we can employ people outside the physical office space and offer also flexible work schedules. And so by understanding some of those barriers through conversation, you can then try to design an environment that meets them where they're at, but still pulls them along, in a way that meets the organization and the individual. But these conversations can be uncomfortable, but I personally encourage them and, do them from a place of it's okay, whether it's, I'm a single parent of 3, or financial barriers to certain education. And then we can solve for that, because, if we don't have the information, then we're really operating on assumptions. And I think that's where we trip over our feet. And, we need the actual, where are we starting from, and then how do we solve for that versus, well, this is what I think, but it's based on just your own thoughts.
All right. I think we don't have time for another question. No, that's it. It's lunchtime. Well, thank you so much for attending this session, and we'll see you this afternoon.
Thank you.